Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS is about to get a revamp to iOS 13 in June at the Worldwide Developer Conference, and then a final release in September, and they may not call it iOS 13, but whatever it's called, we should see some major revisions. And I wanted to take a look back at an older version on the iPhone 4S and the current version on the iPhone XS Max and see how they compare and talk about what we can expect with the next one. So with the 4S, let me flip it over here. I'm running iOS 6.1.3. We'll unlock it. And we'll unlock the XS Max. Of course, that design right there is much easier on the XS Max, not having to put in your passcode. This one doesn't even have Touch ID. So we've come a long way as far as that goes. But the overall design language is basically the same. We have the grid layout and the apps look very familiar. However, they have a different feel to them, and that's because the iPhone 4S or iOS 6 and earlier used more of a skeuomorphic organic design to sort of convey something that was not as familiar as what we have today with smartphones. So if you take a look at this, if I pull down notifications, you'll see that the notification drawer has a linen look to it. The same is true of other locations within the apps. We've got this one here, so it's kind of, the context is it's an app within that window. If we take a look at weather today, even though the information is not the same for some reason, this is the Weather Channel, this is Yahoo Weather. For whatever reason, they're not the same, but the look of them is both pretty good. It's just which design language you prefer most. And some people really like the old one. I still like this one a little bit better. Now, either way, it doesn't matter. They both get the job done, but things like the App Store, we'll go into it, is very different. And I like this App Store better. So they've made some changes along the way over the years. You'll see there's top charts here, and they're loading. And it's still very fast and fluid. And most people remember the older iPhones with iOS 6 and earlier as being very stable with good battery life. In fact, at this time, the battery life on iPhones easily outpaced that of Android unless they had a massive battery in them. So things like the settings, there is no battery setting like we have today in this one to see what the battery health and all that is. But battery life would easily get you through a day once we got to the 4S. However, it wasn't as good as things as people remember. Like we can get easily through all day and sometimes a day and a half or more with something like the XS Max. The screen obviously is going to use more power, but overall this was incredibly stable, especially in its 6th revision. And since we're 6 years later with this one, we're pretty much stable, but not anywhere near what this was, in my opinion. This is more stable, but it doesn't do as much either. So the speed of it is still pretty impressive. So again, you saw I opened the App Store, and it's kind of the same as far as that goes. The same goes with weather. Let's open a web browser, see what happens here. And we'll scroll. Scrolling is smooth on both. We can pinch to zoom. Well, I guess I can't on my website, but you can pinch to zoom on them. And the overall feel is nice and fast. And Apple has controlled the speed of animations on the new one. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's slower here. It's just got similar animations. So we'll open the camera. You'll see we're ready quickly here, but it's not that far behind here, which is really impressive for the day. And then again, if we go into something like iTunes, you'll see it comes right up. And it's pretty fast. Some of that has to do with the Wi-Fi capability here not being as fast as, say, what we have here. And there's a little bit of stutter, but stability overall was great. The task management has changed greatly, though. If we go here, you'll see that's how we managed it before. Tap and hold, and then close your different apps if you want to do that one by one. You still do it here today with this, but you just swipe them off, and it's easier. Now, there's a few things I miss on the old OS if I was to use this regularly, and that has to do with AirDrop. AirDrop is something that I use constantly. I use it every single day. For example, when I want to share something from my phone to my Mac and back and forth, or to an iPad or to another phone. I use that all the time. And with the older version of iOS, it's just not there. You can't swipe up. There's not the same control over the OS. Now, also, I miss 3D Touch, which I know a lot of people don't really care about, but it's something I use regularly. And then also, things I miss on the old version are things like cover flow and things like that with the photos. Let's see if we can go to the camera roll. There's not a whole lot here, but if I go into camera roll, the camera roll just, when you had that pinch on the iPad, I don't have an example of that, but when you had the pinch on the iPad where you could go into the different albums, that's something I really thought was kind of neat on the iPad itself. And then, of course, if you go here and then rotate, It's just very fast still and feels much more fluid most of the time on here than it does on here. But this is a little bit faster in most things, and of course has all the modern apps that we don't get elsewhere. If we go here into the clock, you'll see everything just opens nice and fast, and it just has a little bit different design language. So the alarm, stopwatch, or bedtime on this one, stopwatch, and timer, they're all very familiar, but this one there's something about it that I miss. I don't know about you, but I'd love to hear what you think about that. Now let's talk about what's next. What's next is probably a dark mode. So I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. They want a dark mode throughout the OS. That'll save battery on OLED displays. And then also other people are going to want split screen multitasking. That would be nice. Watch a video up here, and then down here maybe you were doing something else, checking email, things like that. And then beyond that, a full redesign to the icons, and maybe we can put the icons where we want. I think we're at a maturity level where you're not going to see any major revisions at this point, just improvements to efficiency and ease of use. But the hardware is just very solid in this old one. It was nice and easy to change the battery, not so much to change the screen, but everything's nice and solid. And I think we'll see this squared off edge in future iPhones since they did that with the iPads. It's something I miss. It's easier to hold on to and feels more solid over time. But let me know what you think. Do you think we've kind of reached maturity? Is it sort of like the other video I made with the iPhone design? Is it kind of at a level where it just is what it is and it's going to improve incrementally at this point? Or do you think we'll see some major changes with the next version of iOS? What do you think in the comments below? I almost wish they'd go back to this where we had drop shadows and a little bit more organic look. Maybe we'll get something in between. It's hard to say, but the totally flat design is not something I was ever a huge fan of. I think it's okay, but some of the icons, such as photos, I like, but some of the others I don't like at all. So it just depends which one we're talking about. And of course, we've got more features with the new one. I think they did a nice job on the new App Store, though, and I definitely welcome that design. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. If you didn't, the other one's okay too. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.